With us on set is Guy Brogna, and we are going to be talking about all music. Why? Because that's the name of his company. He's a famous musician, and now he owns his own place. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you. How you doing?
Good. Now tell us about your background with two big groups that you're with, Scatterbrain and Ludacris.
I was a touring musician, the bass player, back in the late 80s through the mid 90s with the band Ludacris, and we eventually turned into the band called Scatterbrain.
And where did that name come from, Scatterbrain?
That's actually a Jeff Beck song. We were rehearsing one day and talking about changing the name, and just kind of, someone started playing it. We're like, oh, that's perfect, because we were, a little different than most bands at that time.
Okay. And so you enjoyed your journey. You toured all over the world. Any special show that sticks out in your mind that was like, wow?
There were some cool shows. Like we played in Italy with the Ramones, which was a really big deal, and it was like a last-minute thing. We were there. The Red Hot Chili Peppers. We played a show in Florida, and the drummer from Lynyrd Skynyrd came up and played with us, Artemis Pyle. So there was a lot of cool moments that we were like, wow, this is great. Because we were still fans of all these bands.
Isn't that funny when that happens sometimes? That
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're right there with them,
Yeah.
and you become colleagues overnight.
Right.
Cool, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
And then when that stopped, when you stopped touring, how did you get your store?
The owner of the store previously, Erwin, I was friends with him. And when I was touring, he would be fixing my guitars, and in turn we would put the name of the store on our albums and thanking them. And when I came off the road, he asked me would I be interested in coming in, and I did, and I ended up 13 years later owning the store.
Now your store's a little different because you do a lot of different specialty things. Tell us about a few things that you do.
Well, we do, besides guitars, we do rentals, we do lessons, we do repairs. We also did an offshoot of the store called Rock and Roll University, where we teach the kids to play and play in bands. So we do a lot of different things. We're not just doing, just selling guitars or just lessons.
And a special friend of mine had a really great, unbelievable opportunity that you brought to her and to them. Tell us about that, singing the national anthem.
Yeah,
Pretty cool.
The kids got invited down to Citi Field, and they were able to, they set up on the field, and they actually played. First, Sydney actually sang the national anthem, and then the kids played before the game started on third base, I think. And then after that, they went up into the lounge of the whole stadium and played for the rest of the game there.
And bringing special memories to them, just like your special memories. That must be so satisfying for you.
Oh yeah, it's like having your own kids, watching them grow up and doing all these cool things, and we sit there and watch, and like you're proud parents of watching what they do now.
And now, do you have to audition for your university?
No, most of the kids come in not knowing how to play, so that we place them in a level where we could start teaching them, and some of them are more accomplished, and then we just match them up in the right area that they can grow.
And how about your musical instrument collection? Is there something that you collect that you have to have more than one of? And if so, what is it?
I have about 30 instruments myself,
Okay.
between guitars and basses, so I have all different stuff, whether it's painted guitars, Star Wars guitars, wacky puzzle pieces guitars. It's just all different stuff that I like to collect.
And what was your first? What was your first
boy.
instrument that you owned?
The first instrument I owned was probably a really junky classical guitar.
And do you still have it?
No.
We're going to have to find
No,
that for you
yeah.
on eBay.
Yeah.
Well, the
It's probably
owner
not
of-
worth much.
But I always ask musicians that, because you always kind of tend to remember your first because it's something that you might have to save up for.
Well, my
or...
very, very first, I was pretty young, so I wasn't really playing it or interested in it. My very first bass, I actually still have.
You do?
Yeah,
There
an
you
old
go.
Ibanez bass. Yeah.
And what color is it?
It's like a wood color.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, it's nice to have you on the show.
Thanks
and
so
we're looking
much.
forward to listening to some of your music in the future. So it's all music
Yes.
and the Rock and Roll University.
Yes.
And it was nice to give you a shout out to Sydney Shazano. So if you're watching, Sydney, we love you. So does the director of our show, Tom. So stay tuned for more on Live It Up. We've been visiting with Guy.